Thank God it's a Friday. It's another Friday, but actually this is the last Friday for the month of August 2020, so it's a special Friday. Because after this Friday, the month of August will be gone, and we'll be looking out for a new Friday in the month of September. And it's awesome and a privilege to be alive today, to see this last Friday, meaning we're saying the end of August, to enter a new month, a new beginning, a new chapter of our life. And after this Friday, you'll never see it again. So thank God it's Friday. And today is the starting of a weekend. So I guess most of us are excited that it's a Friday. I'm excited though, because it's actually my show, My Closet 101. So in case this is your first time watching, well, my name is Rowan Chinawelu. You can call me Michael. I'm your host of My Closet 101. And if you check your time, actually, it's 9 a.m. It is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so good morning to all our viewers in the U.S., Canada, Jamaica, Cuba, Mexico, Peru, and Mexico. Sorry, I've said that before. It's 2 p.m. West African time, so I'm saying good afternoon to my West African brothers on the west coast of Africa. It's also 3 p.m. Central African time, so I'm also saying good afternoon to Botswana, people in Botswana, Burundi, Egypt, Libya, Rwanda, and South Africa. It's 6:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time, so I'm saying good evening to all ish. Namaste. So, actually, today it's a wonderful day. In the last Friday, we have an exciting topic, and we'll be talking about healing your mental wounds. My Closet 101, it's a life coach show that shows people the platform to ask questions that have been locked in the closet of their minds. Also, 101 avenue for people to freely interact, express their inner thoughts without being judged. Yes, where everyone can learn from different experiences, opinions, not only permitted to talk about successes, victories, but also talk about failures, mistakes, and burdens. If you're perfect, be the first to cast a stone. Judge not, and you shouldn't be judged. To all our viewers watching, feel free to send us your messages and comments on our Facebook page, facebook.com/mindcloset101, or on the IBM TV Facebook page as facebook.com/IBMTV. Comment there, please, and please join us there. And also on our YouTube channels, you can also subscribe. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. From watching them, stay on the screen, just highlight it and go on with that. It's our custom on the show every time to read you an African story. So today we're reading While a Hawk Kills Children. It's an African story. Bedtime story is told by my dad, yes, when I was little. So in the olden days, there was a very fine young hen who lived with her parents in the bush. Yeah. One day, a hawk was hovering around about 11 o'clock in the morning and was, in his custom, making large circles in the air and scarcely moving his wings. His keen eyes were wide open, taking in everything, for nothing moving ever escapes the eyes of a hawk, no matter how small it may be or how high it is, or how high up in the air the hawk may be circling. This hawk saw the pretty hen picking up some corn near her father's house. He therefore closed up his wings slightly, and in a second of time was close to the ground. Then, spreading her wings was out to check a flight, he alighted close to the hen and perched himself on the fence, as a hawk does not like to walk on the ground if he can help it. Yeah. He then greeted the young hen with his most enticing whistle and offered to marry her. She agreed to the hawk, spoke to her parents, and paid the agreed amount of dowry, which consisted most of corn. And the next day took the young hen off to his home. Shortly after this, a young cock who lived near the hen's home found out where she was living, and having been in love with her for some months, in fact, ever since the spur had grown, determined to try to make her return to her own country. He therefore went at dawn, and having flapped his wings once or twice, crowed, yes, in his best voice to the young hen. When she heard the sweet voice of the cock, she could not resist the invitation, so she went out to him, and they walked off together to her parents' house. The young cock stuttered in front, crowing at intervals. The cock, who was hovering high in the sky, quite out of sight of an ordinary eye, saw what had happened, and was very angry. He made up his mind at once that he would obtain justice from the king, and flew up to Calabar, where he told the whole story and asked for immediate redress. So the king sent for the parents of the hen and told them that they must pay the hawk the amount of dowry they had received from him on the marriage of their daughter according to the native custom. But the hen's parents said they were so poor that they could not possibly afford to pay. So the king told the hawk that he could kill and eat any of the cock children whenever and wherever he found them as payment of his dowry. And if the cock made complaint, the king would not listen. From that time until now, whenever a hawk sees a chicken, he scoops down and carries them off, part payment of his dowry. So I hope we learned a good story from there. We learned that we should not default in our promises and stick to our fulfilled vows. Yes, and never cheat. Be focused, serious-minded. Well, that's our today unique story. Now, heading over to the main issue why we are here. I actually have a guest. She's from Colorado. She's a mother, a storyteller, life coach, motivational speaker, podcast host, former manager of Planning Partners International, and former partner development manager at Sight Life. Breaking up from her marriage in 2017, she started a movement of discovering who she really is, and ever since then, she got to know herself. Ever since then, she has been in the mood to help men and women discover who they are and helping them find their passions in life. She's also the CEO of What's Your Lip Foundation, all the way from Colorado. Her name is Jocelyn Billows. Welcome, Jocelyn. How you doing? All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's okay. Thank you for being a guest on the Mind Closet 101, because Mind Closet 101 is a live coaching show where we talk about people's problems. You know, we talk more about life generally. It's a live coaching show that gives people the platform to ask questions that have been locked in the closets of their minds, and also one-on-one avenue for people to freely interact, express their inner thoughts without being judged, where everyone can learn from different experiences, opinions, not only permitted to talk about our victories, successes, but also failures, mistakes, and burdens in life. For our viewers, I'd like you to please follow us on our Facebook page, My Closet 101. Also on the IBM TV Facebook page, you can follow us there too. Follow me on Facebook too, Bro Chinamelo, yes. Instagram, Bro Chinamelo, and also on Twitter, Bro free to comment and also be part of the show. Okay, Jocelyn. Right, good. I read from your profile about your former marriage, how abusive it was, and I was like, wow. All right. So tell me, how was the marriage abusive, and how did you get into it?
So we met when I was in my mid-20s, and it was, one of these things where I felt that I just knew that I wanted this person in my world from pretty much the moment I met him. And while we started off having dated for a short period of time, and we actually broke up for about a year and a half. And in that time frame, I always sort of felt that he somehow would show back up in my life, and sure enough, he did. About a year and a half later, and at that point in my life, I was actually in a job. And my job had been deleted. My position actually been deleted, and I was in the process of moving from New York City to California. And all of a sudden, this person reappears in my world. And in that time frame, I had these two big life goals that I was moving toward. One was I always wanted to live in California, and second, I'd always really wanted to be in a deeply committed relationship. And while this person was just re-entering my life, again, I had this feeling that this person was going to be around, and I wanted to be part of it. So while I did actually make that move across country, I came back to the East Coast 6 weeks later to pursue the opportunity of creating this relationship and creating a life with this person, because that was really, again, the other life goal that I'd always wanted to achieve. And then, to be honest, I don't know that I identified the challenges. That's not true. I think I identified the challenges and the discord pretty early, and I chose to ignore them.
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
And I want to be very clear. It was a lot of emotional components, so it wasn't physical. You don't see the physical. You can see the bruises and the scars and the all of that ugliness. This was very deep because it was in the words that were utilized. It was in the way that we communicated. It was me being small and not speaking my truth and not taking, not living into the person that I knew that I wanted to be, right? An example of this was, he had a social life outside of our relationship.
He had what? Come again?
He had a social life outside of our relationship, and
Okay.
I was excommunicated from my support system outside of perhaps my family. I really didn't have anyone outside of him, and this was something I self-created. So I'm happy to talk about the construct of things, but I really want to make very clear that everything that showed up in that space was mine, because I created it, because I showed him what I was willing to accept and what the person I was willing to be. I allowed myself to cut myself off from my friends. I allowed myself to say, I'm going to stay home and be the housemaker and the homemaker and take care of all the bills and take care of, all the pieces that made our life work, and not take care of me. I chose those things. And because I showed up in that way, that continued to further feed into the nature of how the relationship iterated. Yeah.
All right. So, but were you abused in the marriage?
It was verbal. It was verbal and emotional.
Wow. Yeah. So let's say you actually went into a relationship or a marriage that actually you were not prepared for one, and also you didn't know what you wanted, and you got into it, right?
I did know what I wanted.
Okay.
I did know what I wanted, but I really didn't. I failed at in those days. I failed at really knowing and loving myself. When we had met, again, like I said, I was in my mid to late 20s. And at that point in my life, most of my friends were married or getting married and starting families. And that was, again, this thing that I really had envisioned for myself, that was something I wanted too. And I'd been in relationships previous to, and I had some really wonderful relationships with wonderful men. And, whatever reasons, those things didn't work. And this is the person that showed up. And really what I've come to learn is that I had this piece around codependency and self-abandonment. And so, when you kind of get into the more metaphysical side of things, now that I understand that was the person that I was attracting someone who was going to fill those voids. So the happiness, the joy that I was looking for to fulfill my life, I was looking for that from somebody else. And that's what I attracted into my world. So I co-created this. And it took me a long time to figure that out, to really understand what that meant. And I really didn't understand that journey until that marriage ended. And that was the piece where I had decided that for me, I was no longer going to stay in this space where I was not fulfilled with my own life. It had nothing to do with this other person. I want to be very clear. Yes, was a contributing factor? Absolutely. But I want to really stress that it's important that we take responsibility for our own actions, and we take responsibility for our own choices, because we're actually the ones that are creating the life that we're living. We're responsible for that. And I didn't understand that for a very long time until I walked away and had clarity in saying, how did this occur? And I got curious about how this showed up. And I got really curious about why I had been in these patterns for so many years. And as I continued to learn that process, I said, not only do I need to learn this for me and heal me, and it's a continual journey, by the way, this is like a one and done. I also realized that there were a lot of other women, more than that's just that men aren't part of this. There are a lot of men and women that are going through these processes themselves, and they continue to find themselves in this repeat pattern of being in a relationship that they're not fulfilled in, and they're feeling unfulfilled in not just in a relationship, but they're unfulfilled in their job, and they're feeling unfulfilled in their personal relationships with their friends or their family life. And they're continuing to fill a void, right? And they're looking outside of themselves to fill that void. And when I started to recognize what that, that this is a pattern thing that many, many, many people go through, I couldn't stand it anymore. I couldn't sit back and just say, I learned something. And guess what? Now I actually have tools. I'm going to study this. I'm going to learn this. Now I have tools to share with other men and women to say, hey guys, you can do this too. Like there's an absolute possibility to break through your own stuff, break through your own BS, to go and live and live this vicarious, beautiful, abundant, joyous life. You don't have to live in this place of being, dismissed or feeling like you're not loved, or being told, in my case, being told I wasn't enough. And it would vacillate between being not enough to being too much, and that everything was really on me, and that was someone external to me saying this, and me then imbibing it and believing it to be true, but it actually wasn't. It never was. So that's why I couldn't sit back any longer and just allow that to continue. And I jumped in full forward and said, all right, who's out? I know there are people out there that need these classes, that need someone to hold their hand through that fear state and that fail of saying, I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, and being absolutely petrified of it, because it is petrifying. I was there. I laid on the sofa. I was that person that laid on the sofa for days on end, in tears, and saying, what is, I know that I made the right decision for myself, but I have no idea what tomorrow's going to be. I did it.
Wow. So let me ask you, how did you discover yourself?
It was a process. So where I began was I I remember when I made the decision, this definitive decision that I was going to make an absolute change. And then when I decided, I was like, I know I have to. I reached out to someone from my past who I'd watched her Facebook feed shift. She'd gone from her former married name back to her maiden name. And yet the joy and the fun that she was experiencing in her life, at least that's how she was portraying it on Facebook. I was like, well, that's what I want, right? So I just reached out and I said, what are you up to? What have you done to shift, what's radically shifted your life? So she downloaded her story to me, which felt very similar to my own. And at that point, she was in an MLM, but she was doing a nutritional cleanse program. So I said, well, what do I have to lose, right? If I'm going to revolutionarily change me at the foundation, I'm going to try on all sorts of different things to see what fits. So I started there. What I didn't realize, and what I was gifted with, is that when you start to change your diet and you start to clean out your system, you clean out your gut, you have this, you actually receive this piece called like mental clarity. You no longer have the fog, the food fog or the brain fog. You can see more clearly. You feel lighter. You feel help. Just there's a clarity with being. It started there. And then I signed up with my first coach, and I had no idea what coaching was. To be honest with you, I just knew that therapy. I've been in and out of therapy for years and struggled with depression and anxiety, and I was continuing to do that. And I thought, no, if I'm really going to make an active change, you've got to try on things that you haven't done before. So, what the definition of insanity, right, is do the same thing again and again and again and expecting different results. That's insanity. So I was like, okay, I'm stepping outside of that, and I'm going to do things I haven't done. So it started with working with my first coach and diving in, learning about energy, learning about vibration, frequency, learning about Reiki, learning about the energy field that's around us, understanding that we are part of a larger source, and really letting go of those definitions of what someone else had told me who I was. That I was meant to grow up and work in corporate America and have the marriage and have the kids and all these things. Breaking all of those pieces down and getting to the roots of where did the stories come from? When was I told that I couldn't achieve financial freedom? When was I told that I couldn't live on my own? When was I told these stories? Or where did, and it may not, in my case, it wasn't necessarily someone telling me this. I was witnessed to. These were stories that I was witness to in the first 7 years of my life that created and crafted these stories of who I was meant to be. And it was out of alignment who I actually was. And as I started to learn into that and lean into that, I started to realize too that when I'm out of alignment, I get physical pain. I get physical pain in my lower back, in my knees, and my hands. Those things will show up and that's your body actually telling you, look, pay attention, right? Whatever the pathway you're taking right now isn't aligned with the person that you actually are. So, so it was that journey. And so what I've done now is having taken so much of what I've learned and now crafted programs around learning who you are. And one of the programs I have is called Leaping from Limitation to Liberation. And that limitation is when you tell yourself you can't be an author of that book, or you're not going to ever attract that awesome guy that you really want to be with, or you're not going to ever have that 6-figure salary that you always wanted to achieve, or you're not going to ever have that house or that car, or even like it could be as small as you're never going to have that group of friends that you really want, right? It could be anything. But you put yourself in this place of where you can't, you don't, and you're not going to, and you're small, and you don't ask the questions. You don't ask the questions. So it's really about being curious, right? So it's about being curious about what's possible. And that's kind of the end point. I start with defining values. Who are you at the core of your being? Not the values that your family told you that you were meant to be in the first
I
place.
understand.
Who are you? And then diving into your vulnerability and accepting you for who you are, no matter all the weirdness that someone else may think of you. You get to be your weird, wacky, amazing being. And when you get to be that, then you get to dream big. And when you dream big, you get to actually do big. And that's pretty amazing when you get to those points.
Okay, from what you just said now, it's just like trying to look for a word, connecting with the universe, trying to understand your essence of your being, and also connecting to the universe. And it's there's a word, can't get it right, but I think it's don't worry about it. But I know where you're going, and I'm trying to get that word, but I'll get back to it soon before we get to the end of the show. Okay, so you discovered yourself and how to connect with the universe to call out to existence what you really want, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. Now, let me ask this question. Now, when you were doing this, why did you forever think probably your ex-husband could fit in, probably try to get him to understand this new way of life? Because I'll tell you, 60-70% of us on earth have not discovered ourselves. We really don't know who we are. We've not really understood why we're here. Do you understand what I mean? So yeah. I was thinking probably would it be you would have given him an opportunity to understand this new you and help him understand who he is, so that it can really blend. Because I know you're thinking about what you really want. We could also help it in our relationships, especially if they're sick. We could use that to heal our relationship. It's just like I know you're used to this movie, The Secret.
Yes.
Good.
I do know that. I know that was the first. That was the first book that I was introduced to. That kind of kicked off this. This journey.
So now, yes, if you watch that book, if you read that book or watched the movie, you notice there are also parts where you can heal your relationship as well. You didn't think about that, or you didn't want it that, or was it that he didn't give you room for you to introduce that into his life?
Yeah, and so I have used modalities with my former spouse, especially given that we have a child together. We do share a 6-year-old that we share, and it began with me just initially showering him with love. Really, when I got dialed into the oneness and feeling what it felt like to really be loved by the universe, by this larger source, this larger being.
Yeah.
And when I really felt that, and the way that it translated was colors became more vibrant. Movement became more clear. There was clarity in my life in every aspect of it, and just there was a sense of inner joy and this inner peace that was emanating beyond my physical being, that I could feel it. And so when I really understood that, I then was able to encapsulate that for him. And so when we get back into, and we still goes through motions, is when we go back into those patterns, our pattern behavior of going back to the arguments that we had throughout our marriage, and the arguments that those pieces that we just never overcame. Instead of going down that route of going back to the he said, she said, and going that, there are now possibilities of saying, okay, being curious about what's really underneath it, what's agitating you so much that this is the route that you're choosing to take. Because it's not about the actual argument that we're having. It's what's at the core of this. What is the wound in me? What is it that's causing you so much pain that you feel that you need to come at me with an attack? And for me to be able to utilize that and utilize that point of conversation, we're opening up all sorts of new pathways to communicate and have a healthier relationship. It's not always perfect, right? It's a continual journey, and they're still continually doing these continuing things that I trigger in him and he triggers in me. And I also see the growth in him. And it's really beautiful because now we can have more adult conversations, have better communication. And then ultimately, what I look at it is what's the best avenue for my child, the healthiest place with us so that we can be healthy. Because whenever you're in that situation that you have agitation or just a misalignment with somebody external to you, you're just poisoning yourself. I mean, you think that you're giving someone else a poison apple because you have disdain or resentment or anger or frustration. The only person that's actually hurting is you. The only person that gets to change that is you. So that's a piece that I do also work on quite a bit with my clients too, is understanding that all of that, you cannot make anyone else feel that way. No one. You cannot make someone feel something if they don't feel it for themselves. You can do certain things to agitate that, but it's up to them to decide. For the same reason, like you're responsible for your own violence. You're responsible for your own way of being, your own decision making, how you're going to respond, how you're going to internalize, how you're going to release those emotions. That's all on you.
All right. Tell us about your podcast.
Sure. So I have a podcast. It's called Leap, and I interview coaches and healers from around the world, and we talk about what inspired them to take a leap of faith in starting their own business. And the inspiration behind that was I actually adore. I love entrepreneurialism. That's been prior to starting my own business, I actually owned and operated 2 businesses with my former spouse, and that first leap of our own was incredibly terrifying and incredibly exciting all at the same point, right? And there's such a wonderful energy about entrepreneurs, people who are really crafting and creating their own life. And so when I approached the truth be told, the show itself was a download. It wasn't something that I thought I'd ever do. To talk about releasing and being limitless in your possibilities, this was a limitless possibility that I never saw coming. And when I really understood what it was that I wanted to bring to life, I wanted to showcase and highlight these amazing, incredible beings that are really uplifting our global community, providing space and containers where people can dive into themselves, because it can be terrifying to do that. And so I really want to highlight and showcase these people that they themselves, just like me, had a moment where they hit that point where my life is going to change. I am no longer going to continue to accept the way my life is. I'm going to shift some of that. And that darkness is where the seeds got planted in that rich nutrient soil. And then these men and women have taken that and said, I have a gift. My journey and my darkness is my best gift. And now I get to help other people as a result. And what a beautiful way to live a life of freedom, of self-expression, of giving and being part of a larger, something outside of beyond your being. And to have that, extend that hand. So someone, when I started this, you asked me earlier, about where I began and how I started. Someone else reached their hand out in front of them or behind them to help lift me up. And now I get to do the same. I have that hand behind me and saying, okay, it's your turn. Come on up and just take this journey with yourself, for your own well-being. And then you get to do that for somebody else.
Wow. That's, I'll say that's sweet of you. Thank you. Because I know you touch a lot of lives. Like I said earlier, about 60 to 70% of we humans really don't know who we are. And that's why some of us are probably stuck in the wrong relationship or the wrong job, or probably not enjoying life the way it ought to be. So I'll say, well done, well done. Today's topic is all about healing the wounds of our minds. And I was wondering if you could tell us the meaning of what the mind is all about.
I'm sorry, tell me, I'm sorry, I missed that question.
I said, can you tell us what's the meaning of the mind?
What's the name of the mind?
What's the meaning of the human mind? What can that explain what the mind is all about?
When I think of mind, I associate that right away with your ego. Your mind is your ego.
Yeah, okay.
And your ego believes that it's running the show. It believes that it's doing its best to protect you from making horrible mistakes. And really, from the most basic of basic is ego is designed to keep you safe from that saber-toothed tiger. Right? That saber-toothed tiger isn't this any longer, but it's literally like a life and death. And so when I talk about mind, I'm talking about the piece that is not actually real, the piece that thinks that it's giving you direction, it's giving you thought, it's giving you abilities to ponder and consider and explore, but ultimately it's trying to control you. And when you get to step outside of that and understand that you are not your ego, that your thoughts is just one aspect of you, that's where you get to live in a little bit more freedom and expression, because you really have three components where you have decision making within your being. It's your mind, right? Your thoughts, your heart, which is your feelings, and then your gut, which is your intuition, is your knowing. So when we talked earlier about nutrition and how important that is to have a clear gut, to have that ability to have a knowing. The knowing is your understanding that what you are is a piece of a much, much larger puzzle, and a much, much larger way.
All right, so that means when we want to think anything good, we have to do it here in our minds, right? The thoughts comes into our minds, and our mind helps transform those thoughts into our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get me? Yeah, good. Mm-hmm. Now, so how can someone discover he or herself? How can one discover themselves?
So there's so many avenues. Either to do it very simply to begin. Some simple practical tools. I like to use practical because I think that's really important. When you're ready, when someone is really ready to dive in, and it doesn't have to be a deep dive. It can be like, hey, my life, I've been sitting on my sofa and been eating ice cream for the last 6 months, and I feel like crap. Right? Right there, easy one. Get off the sofa, put the ice cream away, and maybe every morning you get up and you do a little exercise. Maybe you start with 10 or 15-minute walk, right? You don't have to do anything massive. It's small steps. But when we get to that point where you say, okay, I really want to make a change, I want to get to know myself better, it's actually getting really quiet with yourself and spending time by yourself, with yourself. No technology, no TV, no phone, no internet. In nature is preferable because that's when you're connected. It's where you really get to connect with the being. But silence is really golden. Silence is really important. Starting a journal practice is a really wonderful way to do. So you can sit, maybe your morning routine, create a new morning. Start with a new morning routine. This is actually a really good one. Start with a new morning routine. Wake up in the morning, and before you speak into any words into existence, before you pick up that phone to see what time it is, or if you had any text messages or whatever you do, let your mind go soft, because especially in the morning, you're fresh. You haven't had the thoughts of the day running through your head all day, right? You wake up and your mind is still quiet. Be an observer of those thoughts. Go grab your journal for 15 minutes. Write whatever comes out. There's no right or wrong to this one. Let it all out. And so for me, one of the things that I do for myself, and I do this with my clients, I actually have two journals, right? I have my happy, gratitude, loving, I love me journal, and then I have my ugly thought journal, right? Because they have both sides, always. So in the happy, loving journal is the dreams and the goals and the aspirations, and I love myself, and I'm grateful for what I have today, the law of attraction stuff that we talked about in The Secret. And all that stuff that holds us back, the stuff that we tell ourselves that, that person broke up with me because I'm ugly, and I'm so fat today, and I'm so, I'm miserable, and I don't want to get it. All that yucky stuff, all that stuff that we sin against ourselves goes in the ugly journal, right? And the reason I feel very strongly about having two separate ones is the journal of ugliness. You write it down and you never read it again. It is out of your system. Done.
You never read it again.
Don't read it again, because it's poison to your system. That's why you get it out.
Okay.
The happy journal.
Hang on.
The joy.
Hang on. The love yourself journal. You keep writing, expressing how much you love yourself, the good things, the dream life you want to live, right? And after writing, you read them like you kind of meditate with those words into your mind, right? Now, when it comes to the ugly part, the ugly journal, right?
Yeah.
You write them, but you don't read them.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. You got it.
Okay.
And
Go ahead.
you can actually take that journaling one step further with this. So the ugly journal, if it's something that once you've written it, one practice you could take is at the end of that every day, or once a week, or once a month, or once a year, you take it and you burn it. It is gone. You burn it. It's no longer, that is not you. Those are ugly thoughts that you sinned against yourself, that you rid yourself of that poison. The joy journal, on the other hand, that is your singing praises of your joy and your love and your abundance and the vision that you see for yourself, the things that you're actually excited about every single day. Read that again. And so if you're having like that moment where you want to write you've written in the other journal, still feeling yucky, go back to that joy journal. Read about beautiful things you've said about yourself because you believe them at one point. Maybe you don't believe them right now in this moment. Those are your mantras. You can take from there, you can take little statements for yourself, write them down, put those affirmations around your house because you say it every day. That's you. You're grateful because you got to wake up this morning. You're grateful because the sun is shining. I mean, it really doesn't have to be these magnificent things. It's little things. Like, there are mornings I write, I'm grateful for the cool breeze that's blowing through my window right now. It's so simple. And yet I am grateful for it. Another avenue beyond that is that you record yourself reading some of these joy affirmations, or these from the joy journal.
Record yourself.
Record yourself, and it's really easy. You can download a recording app on your phone. Read them to yourself. I recommend 15 minutes of that, and at night, play those back. Allow yourself to hear yourself saying some really beautiful things about yourself and how much you love who you are. That's going to continue to increase your joy level. So that's just a start. So going back to the morning, I went way deep in that, but the morning ritual, you have your two journal, the good and the ugly, right? And it doesn't have to write, you don't have to write either one that day, write them both that day, write whatever calls for you. At least 15 minutes, get it out of your system, especially because you're observing your thoughts. Then, once you've written, again, this is pre-technology. We're not looking at technology, people. Sit in silence. If you're I love meditation in particular, and there are days that I am really wonderful in it, and there are days that I will be honest with you, I am not focused. I pull myself out. But 15 to 20 minutes, start with 5. Actually, start with 5. Build yourself up to a place where you can sit again in quiet. And the more that you get involved with that, the more you actually really drop out of this head. Your mind starts to like numb or quiet, and you just drop into your being. And those are really great ways to get started as far as getting to be good with being within you. And I always encourage, and then once we move through that, I encourage accountability partners. Coaches are amazing. If that's something, yes, personally, yes, I want to see people working with coaches. It may be me. I might be your partner. I might not be, and that's okay. There's going to be an accountability partner out there that's going to fit what you are and what your needs are. But having someone to hold you accountable to when you have those reactionary moments around life, to help you to be curious about that. What's at the origin? What do you want that to be? What do you believe that to be? That's another area. For me, I actually start with a values exercise. This is a couple-week program. Actually, it's a couple weeks into the program where we really dive into and identify the values that you want to live by, because that helps us to create the boundaries and the roadmap of which you're going to make decisions about when you say yes and when you say no. And by the way, no makes sense.
No is what?
No is a complete sentence. You get to, like, people, especially women, we forget that we need to say no. We say yes to everything, take on everyone else's tasks before we take care of ourselves. We get to say no.
Okay.
Yeah. Those are some exercises I recommend when you start.
Okay. So with that person can really discover who they are, right? Now, from what you said, okay, fine. From what you said, the ugly journal and also the positive journal. And what happens when we find ourselves doing? Okay, let's take this for example. I like saying the truth. I like being honest. I like it when I always say the truth. But I find myself lying at times, and that's really not me, right? And I'm wondering why am I getting myself into it? So what can you tell? Yes, why am I lying? Really, I really don't want to lie, but I find myself lying. You get what I meant. So I'm wondering, and that's not the kind of person I really want to be. Now, how do I get myself from lying to always saying the truth?
What does lying mean to you?
Lying, actually, I don't like it, so it's really not good. So you understand? It's not me, actually. So trying to stop that lifestyle to have something good is what me I'm thinking about. So how do I get myself from living a life of lies and staying on the right track? How do we do that? Through the method you just mentioned.
So again, I'd start with the origin of the lie. I ask the question: why are we lying here? Why are we not being truthful and honest with whatever the situation is? They observe it, and how does that feel when you're not being truthful? Are you feeling any sort of restriction in your body? Restriction in your throat? Do you feel something in the pit of your stomach? The observant of those feelings the body is telling, because your body's communicating. In addition to lying can also, what it does, provides opportunity to have sort of an escape from what's right here in front of you. Instead of being, bold and honest with whatever you're feeling, perhaps you choose to lie, to say, I'm just going to go with this because it feels easier, right? Sometimes it can be scary to speak your truth. Sometimes it feels scary to be like, I am not, I'm not okay with whatever the situation is. If I just kind of go with the flow and lie about it, maybe it'll pass. But guess what? It's actually going to catch up with you in the long run, because the next time you're in that same situation, and you went with it before, but now the second time you go to try to do it, remember that body needs to listen to your body. The body's going to have a response to it. Secondarily, when you lie, you have to remember what your lies are. You start telling stories.
Okay.
So it's a way to cover the truth of the
Okay, how can someone love themselves?
How can someone love themselves? There's so many ways. So, I think but the thing that I'd say for the most is easy things. Proper nutrition.
Come again?
Rest. Huh?
Come again? Just
proper nutrition.
Okay.
Eating healthy food.
Yeah.
Having nutrient, protein and fruits and veggies, and eating healthy diet. Removing that sugar, removing the carbs and the heavy pieces that actually start to weigh you down. Eating well, and then again noticing how you're feeling in your body, how your body feels is responsible for that. Getting proper rest is really important for yourself. Being cognizant of your overall nutrition. And when I speak of that, from this point of view, it's not specific to what you're eating. It's actually larger than that. Who are the people that you're talking to? What's in your news? Are they? If you're turning on the news and you're constantly agitated by what's happening in the media or whatever TV shows you're watching, why? Why are you choosing to have that in your space if it's causing upsetness or agitation or discord? It's wonderful to be observant of naming of the agreement, but it's causing you that much upset. Why do you have it? Aware of the people that you have in your life, but these people that are supporting what you believe in and supporting your dream, but maybe they don't need to be around your world. Those are ways you can help to start to love your little way. We can't go back to the rest there. We can also talk about taking a bath every morning. That means allow your body to relax. Reading books that around subject matters that involve you and that make you feel alive. Things, getting proper exercise, daily routine around exercise. As when you start to move the energy in your body, you have to start to. These are all little things you can start to do to love yourself.
All right. I was going through your bio and I saw something like choosing yourself first. How can I choose myself first?
I can choose everything that I just mentioned there, and are all wonderful ways to do it. So, I for example, like as a busy parent, I can be committed to so many things for myself and committed to so many things for my son. One thing you can do is say, okay, if you're at the end of your rope, had a long day at home with your parents, especially since we've been, in this COVID piece where we had our children around us 24/7 and we felt great for months on end.
Yeah.
When you feel like you're starting to get agitated with your child, and it's not only your child's behavior, you know that you're done.
Yeah.
No matter the age of your child, you can put your child somewhere that they are safe. And if their understanding of communication, so mine's old enough, I can communicate with him. And, I say to him, listen, mom needs 15 minutes to herself. You play by yourself, entertain yourself. I need this time for you. You communicate that and create boundaries around that. That you are taking care of and filling your own cup. It's so important that you're feeling good about you before you start ever taking care of anyone else. You got to pour from an overflowing cup, not from an empty cup.
Right. we have 8 minutes more to go just to wrap up the show. But before then, I just have one important question to ask. And I'll try, if you could do that under probably 2-3 minutes. So I will ask you your win-win, your failures in life, and also for you to share your social media handles. This one is, how can one unearth the roots of the stories to heal?
Ask that one more time.
How can one unearth the roots of the stories to heal? How can one do that? Like unearth the roots of your story to heal. How? Just say 2-3 minutes. Let's
on your own.
Yeah.
On your own, if you're really truly doing this by yourself and not getting an accountability partner, which I strongly encourage, by the way. One thing you can really do is be observant of your dreams. So here you have these journals next to you. You can also journal about those dreams, because dreams are often actually messaging, giving you a download of what's actually happening in your current present day life. Right? So dream interpretation, get yourself whether the dream journal or get online. Like write, and so in the morning, if before you start a journal, maybe that is your journal entry rather than writing your joy journal. Write your dream journal. Like, this is what happened last night. Go get curious. But why did that elephant show up? The elephant represents something, right? Some aspect of your being, something you're not addressing. And getting curious about that's a great way to get started. When you have places that you feel like you sort of had deja vu, or let's say you're in a current relationship and your partner is expressing something and you're getting agitated around that. And before you actually respond to the current situation, you get like that moment of, oh my God, I've been here before. I've had this, maybe not with this person, but it's in a previous relationship. Okay, take a moment, if you write that down, whatever it is, be observant of that, and then keep following that down. When did you see it prior to that last expression of that? Moments of, follow all of that to a childhood. Everything comes from return. In fact, all of our memories and all of our ideas, all of the belief systems we created in the first 7 years of our life. So, you start to get curious about going back in time to when it was the very first time you actually had that type of experience. What was that? Close your eyes, try to see if you can imagine it. Bring that experience to life in your mind.
Yeah.
What you feel like when that person said that to you. Yeah. Have that conversation with the person. Maybe it was your next door neighbor when you were 5 years old who told you, who said you couldn't play with them because they wanted to play by themselves, and you created that to mean that you were unlovable or not welcome, or not fun to play with it. You created that story, and that story is started to play out in the rest of your life. Back to that. What was that story? What was that conversation? You can actually have a conversation with that person at that time at 5 years old. Becky, that day that you said this to me, it made me feel like you never want to be my friend again. And that's why I responded the way I did. And that's why I hit you. Right? That's why I hit you and I slapped you across the face, pulled your hair, and took your Barbie doll. Right? And then sit with that. Allow Becky to respond to you.
All this in your imagination, right?
Yeah, and you do this, and you can actually say these words out loud. Again, eyes closed, and channel that person as if you're actually speaking to that person. And that's where you can start to resolve those pieces that have haunted you your whole life in the present day, that where you're now having an argument with your spouse because Becky didn't want you to play with her because she didn't want time to herself that day at 5 years old.
Wow. Wow. Now, what's your win-win?
What's my win-win? The win-win is you get to work on yourself. Every time you choose yourself, you get to get better. Every single time, even if it's in tears, even if you're in the worst sort of pain and sadness, And that's a lot of my clients that come to me. They're in a really dark place, and they're in this place of like despair, and their partner is moved on, or they want to move on from their partner. They have no idea how. Honor that. Honor it, because the only way around it is through it. You can't go around it. You can't observe it, because at the end of the day, you get to get better. You get to get better.
All right, now, last question. Then you tell us your social media handles. What's your failure in life? Do you have any failure presently in life? Generally, what's your failure?
I don't.
None. No.
I don't. I don't believe I do. Now, I say this because I know that every time I have fallen down, I have fallen down for a reason, because there was a lesson for me to learn.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people could look at their marriage like their marriage ending as a failure. It was probably the best gift I ever received. It's hard as hell. I'm not going to tell you that I just like walked out of that scars. That's not true. It gave me the greatest gift. It gave me that I got the chance to learn who I am.
Wow.
Every time I fall down, I get up.
Go ahead. Well, listen.
That's it. Every time you fall down, you get up stronger. Keep trying on new things. That's the joy and beauty of this human existence.
Okay. Now, where can people meet you? Tell us your social media handles and also the name of your podcast, where they can get your podcast. Please share that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Facebook at jocelyn.bellows24. Also, all of my coursework can be found there as well. Right now, I'm actually launching, in a matter of 2 weeks from now, launching a 3-part online workshop called Leaving from Limitation to Liberation, evaluating our values, vulnerability, and vision. That's coming out starting in September 14th. Again, it's a 3-part series. Find me on find my information on my podcast can be also found on my Facebook page, or anywhere you find podcasts at What's Your Leap, including Instagram, which my Instagram handle is also What's Your Leap.
Okay. How about your book? You're writing a book, right?
I'm in the early stages, so it's premature for me to actually share that. Literally, it's a little early, but it will be coming out. And loose title is Breakups to Wake Ups. Breakups to Wake Ups. Beyond that, I don't know. It's still a working title.
Well, I'll like you to keep us posted on that, because we'd like to have you in the IBM TV when it's out, so you share and people get to know about your books. Because on My Closet 101, we've already had 2 Amazon bestsellers on our show. So
awesome.
Yeah. So what you come again?
You have a third one. It's like
Sure, I believe that. So I want you to talk about it, so the audience will get to know more about your book and go look for it.
So the book is, what we're going to do is highlight stories. There's going to be a contributor, people contributing their stories of their own deep, dark breakup, that relationship that ended, and the darkness that they felt throughout having gone through it, and then coming out on the other side of waking up to a much more brilliant and more beautiful and abundant life. The lessons that they learned as a result of that allowed them to uncover truth of their being.
All right. It's our tradition to say namaste. Thank you for being our guest. We hope to see more of you on My Closet 101. Thank you so much. We appreciate you and we love you. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right. She's gone. And to all our viewers, I hope you really enjoyed today's interview. It was actually had to just make it brief, because she really got busy, and she's really busy and she has something to do. From today's topic, Healing Our Wounds, I hope we've learned how to, first of all, get to love ourselves. Yes, because loving yourself is the best thing that can ever happen to you. It is who you are. You understand? Loving yourself will help you get yourself to yourself. Yes. And it will also help you heal up from your wounds. Like Hello said, she just made us understand a lot of things, and just a few, because I know I'll still be back again to talk more about this. But I believe with this you'll be able to learn how to heal yourself. Most of us get so hurt that we refuse to get healed of that wound, and it's a mental thing, and it's not good for us. It helps with that or should I say that ugly story really will affect our life to make us not to be productive, to make us to be useless, to make us to be um, non-productive to the society and to our family at large. And at the end of the day, it might even lead us to mental illness, and that's called disorder. You understand? And if you look at the topics we've been talking about on Micros 101, most of them is just to help you build your mind, make you be yourself, make you sound, make you perfect in life. You understand? So with today's topic, I believe that most of us will really start working on loving ourselves, taking ourselves first, and look at our situation and try to see how to make it work for our good. Some of us just don't believe in the positive side of our lives. We don't even believe there are dreams to fill up, to fulfill. Yes, that's what I was looking for actually. We don't believe, we only think about the negative side. Like some will say, I'm a loser, I've been a failure since I was born. That's a lie. Don't believe that lie. Don't ever believe that. Believe you're born to do greatness. You're born to rule the world. You're born in a positive manner, not like Adolf Hitler. Please, spare me that. Please. So, like I said earlier, let's still not forget that. And we'll be having more of her on future episodes. So, before we end the show, don't forget to send us your questions. Like next week, we'll be talking about some questions someone sent to me. Story last week. We'll be talking about it next week, and I believe it will be fun. Honestly, I would like you to stick around and listen to that beautiful story. So send us your story, your questions, your experiences in life. Tell us what you want us to talk to us about it, and we promise we'll discuss it and we'll not disclose your identity. If you don't want, and if you have other questions pertaining in this today's topic, please feel free to send us questions, messages on our Facebook page, MyCloset101, on also Facebook, IBM TV Facebook page, IBM TV. You can also send me a message on my Facebook, which is Brawachinamelo. You can also meet me on Twitter, Brawachinamelo, and also on Instagram, Brawachinamelo. Meet me also on LinkedIn, that's Mokichukwu Romera. And send me what you think about today's show. And also, you could also send us your questions and experiences, which we'll talk about on our show. Before you go, let's still not forget, we have, it's our custom to give an African proverb for the week. Every week we have one proverb that we share. And today's one is, after a foolish deed comes remorse. After a foolish deed comes remorse. Meaning feeling sorry always follows a foolish act. Hope you've learned today's one, and I pray you stick to it. Now don't forget, Med Friday comes up next. You can tune in already and tune in immediately and continue with Med Friday. Med Friday. Today's episode will be awesome. Don't miss it. Don't touch that down. Just switch next immediately to Med Friday. You won't regret you did that. So don't forget our programs still remain the same. On Mondays, Economic Monday. Also, radio talk show with Mark Lee. Don't miss it. It's awesome. I love Mark Lee. He has his shows really, really, really hot, juicy, and entertaining. On Tuesday, we have World News COVID-19. Celeb Tuesday, Chess with Our Brothers with Jim Ed. Don't miss it. If you know you're a chess lover, or you want to be a chess lover, or you want to be an international chess player, don't miss Jen Ed's show on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're having Startup Wednesdays for those that are really entrepreneurs looking for a new way to start off or get themselves involved into business. Just don't miss it. Startup Wednesday and Weed Wednesday if you're a weed lover. No, I'm not. But weed lovers, just don't forget to tune into IBM TV on Wednesdays for Weed Wednesdays. On Thursday is Podcast Thursday, where all podcasts hosts come together. I'll be there. So next week, Thursday, don't miss it. If you missed yesterday's Zoom, which is Thursday, don't miss next week's Zoom. It's really exciting. We talked about so many things, and we talked about more than large, so many topics to not. So don't miss it. On Friday, we have Financial Friday and My Closet 101, and also Med Friday. On Saturday, we have Spiritual Saturday, Chess Stars with Sasha Stars. If you're a chess lover, another chess master in the house, don't miss it. Don't miss it. Don't miss that show. Try. Make sure you watch it and enjoy it. You enjoy it because it's really educative. I know it as well. And also we have, if you're a music lover, we have DJ Live on Saturday, and we have Starry Saturday. And also on Sunday, we have some Sunday and the Alexandra May Cafe show. If you can't get it on the IBM website or the Facebook, IBM TV, or the YouTube, you can also follow us on My Closet 101 on our Facebook page. You see all the shows live. Enjoy it. Please, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, especially to our YouTube channels for more exciting and juicy shows. Now, this Friday. This Friday is the last Friday. But what would you be doing with your Friday? Think about it. And remember, COVID-19 is still around. And according to some people, they say it's still going to be living with us. So don't forget to practice the hygiene, the normal hygiene. First of all, washing your hands regularly or using a hand sanitizer, an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Don't forget to wear your mask while going out. I forgot mine, so I just wore my mask for you to see that. Also, don't forget to also maintain social distancing. I hope to see you next Friday, which is the best Friday of the month of September. September is a beautiful month. For me, it's my birthday, so it's going to be a wonderful month for me. As you end this month, I know we don't do this, but I'm going to use this opportunity to do this. I pray the Lord God, the universe, the sovereign God will keep us alive and keep us safe till next month, for us to usher the new month in good health and sound mind. And today I really want to wish all our health workers, especially my auntie in America, and also my uncle and his wife, they're health workers on the front line working. I want to say God will continue to bless you, protect you, and you'll always be safe from COVID-19. So we'll meet again next week, same station, same time. We'll ask. In Igbo, I say, they will bye-bye. Oh, no. In India is namaste. Bye. Take care and be safe. God bless.